Assalamu alaikum. It's nice to see you again as we continue to bring the divine into the daily by understanding how we can incorporate the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into our daily lives to improve the relationship between us and our spouse and our children. The name that we're going to discuss today is Al-Mumit, which means the bringer of death. We all know that part of Sunnat al-Haya, the cycle of life, is that we will experience birth and we will experience death. And those are the two certainties that exist for all of us. But what happens to the family dynamic and the family structure when death touches us in those who are closest to us, in those we love the most? Whether it is the death of a parent after old age, or the death of a child unexpectedly due to illness, due to stillbirth, due to a difficulty in pregnancy, whether it is the death of a sibling or the death of another close relative, a spouse even, this can severely affect the way that we interact with our family. Any form of loss can often leave an emotional scar that is difficult to recover from. So what do we do when we experience death and it touches us very close to our hearts in someone who is important to us, someone who is in the family structure? Dealing with the death of our parents is often a very scary reality as we grow older. And again, it's a reality that we can't really escape. But recognizing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Muhyi and Al-Mumit, He is the one that brings to life and also the bringer of death, helps us put into perspective that natural process that we all go through. While navigating the stages of grief may be difficult for some, knowing that grief will have an ending point. It will have a period where, yes, we may always experience a sense of sadness when thinking of our loved one that we've lost. There will also come a time where the pain lessens and we can think of those times of joy that we spent with the parent, with the sibling, with the relative who was close to our heart, without feeling that same sense of emptiness, that same sense of loss. When you do experience the death of a close one, a parent, a sibling, someone who may be older, who raised you when you were a child, don't try to deal with it alone. Don't lock yourself up in your sadness and try to isolate yourself to deal with your grief by yourself. Because we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to work through our difficulties together with our family, with our ummah, with a counselor if needed. Now, the loss of a child can sometimes be even more difficult to fathom or to understand because we often think of the process of life as the parent will go before the child goes. But again, this is the hikmah of Allah. And just as our children may be a test in the dunya, in their lives, if they show us difficult times, our children may also be a test in the recognition that they are an amana, that they are a trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He is Al-Muhyi and Al-Mumeet, and as He brings the children into this world, in His hikmah, in His infinite wisdom, sometimes these children are taken out of the world as well. Again, don't try to go through the stages of grief alone. Seek help, talk to someone, reach out to your spouse. Know that you are in this together and that just as you have felt the loss acutely, your spouse has as well. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects all of our loved ones and protects our hearts from going down the path of darkness when we struggle with loss in our families. Jazakumullahu khair, and I look forward to speaking to you again as we continue to bring the divine into the daily. Assalamu alaikum.